it's spinning. You can't schedule a man's broadcast because it's already started. Oh, why did it do that?
Where politics meets common sense. This is Nightcaps with Nate.
Coming to you live from just outside the swamp of the nation's capital. Get ready for invigorating talk, commentary, and debate on the issues affecting your life. Grab your favorite drink. It's Nightcaps with Nate. Now, here's Nate.
It's Cinco de Mayo. Welcome to Nightcaps with Nate. On the line here, we have not one Hispanic, but two Hispanics tonight. And we, of course, we have our very liberal, progressive, not to be confused with a Democrat, because she says Democrats are too conservative for her. It is Natalie. So, on the bottom left, we have Gabriel. Gabriel, go off mute. Say hello.
Hey, everybody. How's it going? Happy Cinco de Mayo, Taco Tuesday.
Taco Tuesday. He said, not me. And Mr. Robert Cross from the, okay, I'm going to try to get it right, the National Republican Hispanic Assembly.
Almost. The Republican National Hispanic Assembly.
I give up. All right, and I've been drinking all day because it's Cinco de Mayo, and my work, we had a thing. Hey, by the way, as I get out of this special music here, make sure that you share and start your own watch parties. We have been having a record amount of viewers start a watch party. Also, make sure that you go over to my YouTube and go ahead and subscribe. We're almost getting to that 100 subscribers, and the more subscribers, the merrier. Hey, once I get to 100, then I can have a special URL, and then I can really start getting this word out about this great show that we have going on here. So, how is everybody doing? Who here had Mexicano food today?
I did.
You did?
Oh, yeah. Tacos, rice, frijoles, tortillas.
Oh, man. Natalie?
I did not have any.
And I thought you were enculturated liberal.
Well, I am enculturated, but I also recognize that I am a white girl, and usually, Cinco de Mayo wasn't really a big thing that the Kurds celebrated.
Yeah, no. Since we're like nearly 100% Scottish, I guess not Scottish English. And Mr. Cross?
Oh, no Mexican food. I did have some Cuban food earlier.
Oh, okay.
That counts.
Well, I did. I had some quesadillas, two types. Took forever. So here in West Virginia, where we have liberty and freedom, the restaurants are open and the bars are open as long as you're sitting outside. So it was packed. Coronavirus probably everywhere, and we had our thing. Amber Jasper, hello. And Amber says that she did have some Mexican food today. Now, did you have any margaritas? Anybody?
Oh, no.
My wife had.
It's my usual Jack and Coke. No.
My wife had several. Jasper had Chick-fil-A, and you're so enculturated.
Hey, the Lord's food.
The Lord's food. It is the Lord's food. Well, I'll tell you what. I had a lot, and I had a lot to drink. So starting at 3 p.m. today, my company that I work for, we had a virtual happy hour online. It was called Cinco de Drinko, and we took advantage of that and had a good time, good fellowship, as they would say in church, and had a few cocktails. And then my wife convinced me to take her out to Mexican food and had a few more cocktails, and then we made our way home. Hurry up, got ready for the show, and I'm still having some lighter cocktails, Bacardi and Diet Coke now, so good to go. Robert, are you drinking tonight?
No?
I
don't drink very often.
No?
I'm almost never at home.
Well, Gabriel, I know he drinks often. Let me guess, Jack and Coke. Not even Diet Coke, man. He's not even going to do the diet. Heck no. And Natalie, let me guess, you got some wine.
Nope, I'm having a raspberry white claw tonight.
Raspberry White Claw. Okay, sounds good. Oh, by the way, our show tonight is actually going to be brought to you by I'm on Team Joe. Where am I? Is this the thing? It's Joe Biden. Also, we have apparently Joe Biden's always been full of crap. He just has no clue where he was, even when he knew where he was. Because in 1987, I don't know, I was too young, but this was brought up on one of the on, I forgot what news site, but they rehash this. And this is Joe Biden back when he was running for Senate, when he was nice and young, and him bloviating. Ready? Here we go. Oh, Kevin Paul made me a virgin margarita. Oh, yeah, I guess she's pregnant. And Carrie Daniels, hello, Nightcaps and Nate. Russell, y'all are going to need some AA meetings. That is for sure. All right, let's play this clip of Natalie's boy Biden.
It's not my boy. It's your boy.
Explaining to do. The new questions stem from taped remarks of Biden during an April campaign appearance in New Hampshire.
I went to law school on a full academic scholarship, the only one in my class to have a full academic scholarship. Went back to law school and in fact ended up in the top half of my class. I was the outstanding student in the political science department at the end of my year. I graduated with 3 degrees from undergraduate school and 165 credits, only needed 123 credits.
Biden now concedes he did not graduate in the top half of his law school class, that he does not have 3 degrees from college, and that he was not named outstanding political science student in college.
Newsweek says Biden actually went to school on a half scholarship, ended up near the bottom of his class, and won only 1 degree, not 3.
Joe Biden ranked 76th in a class of 85 at the University of Syracuse Law School. I mean, this guy comes off this whole thing as a flyweight.
Now Biden says Newsweek is right. His memory had failed him.
His memory has failed him. That is in 1987. Mr. Biden, your memory is still failing you. All right.
Man, that did not age well at all, man.
I don't think that back in the 1970s. I don't think that's a memory problem. I think that's just a line problem.
That's 1987.
Yeah.
He's always been loose with the facts, anyways. But my God. Oh my gosh. Somebody said, now you know, Brian says, now you know why Rush calls him plugs. Because he had a full bald head back then. Apparently he must have had a hair transplant because he's got hair now, you know. My God, man, this guy, I don't know. See, here's the fact that he's even a major political candidate right now strikes me as crazy because in 1987, if the media didn't run him out of politics altogether, how in the heck is he running as the nominee for the entire Democrat Party? This guy is the most flawed candidate I think that they have ever put up in my lifetime. I'm talking more flawed than Walter Mondale. Yes, I remember Walter Mondale, kind of. I'm talking more flawed than who took on George H.W. Bush, and he was Dukakis. More flawed than any politician I think I've ever seen make it to the national stage. I don't know. I know that there's some people saying that Joe Biden is really just there to be the transition candidate to whoever his VP choice is. In other words, he's going to get there, win, and then he'll have an ultra-progressive, probably an African-American female, take over as the first African-American female president in the country's history. But I don't think he's going to be able to get her there. I think that Trump is going to clean his clock. Like right now, polling's, he's ahead of Trump by 6 points. Oh, Jasper does have a point. He said not more than Al Gore. Al Gore, yeah, he invented the internet. Yeah, that dude's a creep too. If he would have gotten in office, man, he was up on his own little sexual charges too. Remember, he got the massages and stuff after he did it. But my Lord, besides Al Gore, I'd even put him worse than Al Gore. What are you gonna do this November, Natalie? What are you gonna do? What are your friends gonna do? Jeremy and all them. I mean, how in the hell could you literally go and pull the lever?
I'm a little bit, blinded here because, just a few months ago, everybody across the board did not like Biden. We would all be on here making fun of Biden with you. Like I don't know about the dementia. That's kind of mean. But but everybody would be arguing against Biden. Nobody likes Biden. He's not pro-choice. He's a Catholic. He just isn't what we wanted. But now everybody's kind of getting on board with Biden because everybody's just desperate to get Trump out of office. And so I don't really know. But, a friend of mine, because my question is what is the DNC thinking? Because he's not, in line with Me Too. He's got a assault allegation against him. And he's not really all the way there. He does, it's just a fact. He does have dementia. You know, what is the DNC thinking? And a good friend of mine brought up, I'm trying to find this comment right now, brought up, you know, that the DNC really doesn't care. The DNC is kind of like just doing, you know.
Well, why wouldn't they care? They had so many candidates. It wasn't like there was a shortage of candidates. They had so many candidates that they could have chose from. All of them had flaws, except for, say, Klobuchar, who was kind of quiet. Really, your best candidate is one that you guys wouldn't even entertain, Tulsi Gabbard out in Hawaii. She's the one that could have been the first female president of the United States. She was attractive. She's young. She's smart. She's a veteran. She could have whipped all over Trump, possibly. But no, you guys, the progressive wing, pushed her out and nominated Biden, who's just as moderate as Tulsi Gabbard, only has none of the chops of Tulsi Gabbard.
Well, Biden was just talking the other day. He was talking about just phasing people in, like Pete Buttigieg. So why not just go for Pete Buttigieg?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if the country was ready to see a husband and husband kissing on the stage, but you know, I don't know.
The thing is Pete really doesn't have a lot of you know, experience. The whole time that Pete, the reason why I like Pete, but the reason why I didn't, you know, vote for him and I kind of went more on the Bernie train is A, because it's Bernie, and B, because he really, you know, going from mayor to president, like, no, you should
not just mayor of a small city. I used to live in South Bend. It's a shithole too.
Huh?
And mayor of a small city. South Bend's a crap hole small city. It's not even.
Why is he going from mayor, you know, in Indiana, you know, why is he going from a mayor to all the way to president? He needed to run for Senate. And so, you know, there's a lack of experience there, but that's not how the Democrats work. The Democrats work as an establishment, and with them, it's who's next in line, the next person in line.
What do you think, Robert?
So do you think the Democrats are settling because they hate Trump so much, or do you think they actually align themselves with what he's Biden's saying?
Can you repeat that?
So are you agreeing, or are you saying that the Democrats hate Trump so much they're just settling for Joe Biden?
I think that the Democratic people, not the DNC, the Democratic people, regular Americans, I think that they are all desperate for anybody who can beat Trump. Anybody vote blue, no matter who. You know, I mean that's the.
But again,
even if it's the worst candidate ever.
Why did they pick that candidate? Why?
Well, you know, but the DNC, as we've already seen in 2016 when Bernie was running, you know, and Hillary pretty much ran the DNC, that the DNC will get in whoever they want to get. They messed with our elections, you know. Debbie, I always forget her last name.
Wasserman Schultz.
Yeah, she had to resign. So we know that the DNC pushes whoever they want to push. When that happened with Bernie back in 2016, that was the last day I called myself a Democrat, because if it's not fair, what's the point?
All right, we got to move on a second here. Robert, what do you think?
Well, I think part of it is they're pushing Biden because he was part of Obama's legacy. So they're pushing him as, you know, bringing back sort of Obama's policies to the White House. But
yeah, okay, fair.
Biden is such a bad candidate, it's not really a winning strategy.
But Obama, who did, by the way, they found out, did champion Biden behind the scene. Obama did, especially when Bernie was. In fact, Obama said we have to do everything we can to stop Bernie. And that's Obama's fault, who's a progressive, and shame on him. And the party should be very pissed off at their warrior, Obama. But he's known Biden better than anybody else. How in the hell did he think that he would have been a good candidate? I don't know.
So this is something that my friend Ryan said, and he's a progressive like me. He's a nurse out of the Ann Arbor area. And something that he said that really stuck with me, he says, Democratic Party leadership do not care if Biden wins. They lose, they still keep all their cash flow and keep their mega donors happy. They have blocked Sanders and any working class takeover of the party. And they get to blame Trump for the pandemic and economic turndown. It's revolting. And what he's saying is they don't care about winning. They care as long as they make sure that their people are happy. They don't care about winning.
And that's dumb. That's a bad thing, because guess what? If you did care, if you were a progressive, guess what? You have a couple of Supreme Courts coming up. I'm glad. I am ecstatic that Biden is running. Ecstatic. Michael Zamarin online. By the way, if you have any comments that you want to say, please go to the Nightcaps with Nate. I know that you may be watching on a watch party, but go to the actual Nightcaps with Nate page, and you could comment there. Also, make sure that you like and follow us. Michael Zumerin says, kudos to the Hispanic conservatives. The majority of Hispanics are a lost cause when it comes to preserving their American rights. What do you think about that? We'll start with Robert, and then we'll go to Gabriel. That last comment. Majority of Hispanics are a lost cause when it comes to preserving their American rights.
I don't think that's true. There's a growing Hispanic conservative movement in the country that is actually based on natural rights, or what we would call our constitutional rights. You see this with Lexit, Benvenido, the RNHA. There's a whole bunch of conservative Hispanic organizations popping up all over the country, specifically led by Hispanics to champion their rights and defend them.
So exactly how are the Republicans helping you?
Hold on. Before you ask another question, I want to hear Gabriel. What do you say to that?
So part of the reason I believe the Hispanics are turning more conservative is we're kind of getting outside of the whole victimhood mentality. And so I see that a lot in the Hispanic community. Everything's a fault of the government. They always want to point the finger at someone else rather than accepting responsibility and moving forward and just putting your head down, driving forward and seeing results that way, as opposed to wanting handouts for this and handouts for that.
Yeah, Michael Zumerin says correct, growing, but the majority are still ill-informed. Zumerin, by the way, I believe Zumerin is how you say it, but that is an actual Spanish last name, I think, not just a Hispanic last name. But by the way, breaking news, Jasper just wrote, and I just confirmed it, Ruth Ginsburg was just admitted to the hospital a few minutes ago with an infection, so that may not be good news for her. Natalie, do you think it would be fair to nominate and confirm a Supreme Court justice in an election year after the Republicans in the Senate blocked it last time?
I don't know. I really hope that Ruth makes it until a Democrat gets in.
Let's just put it down.
The next.
Okay. Do you think Biden is going to beat Trump? Be honest. Just you answer, Natalie.
No.
Yes or no? Okay, so guess who's going to appoint the next Supreme Court justice anyways?
Yeah.
And Michael says that he is a Peruvian heritage. Thanks, Mike, for joining the show. Love your perspective on here.
I have a question.
Quick question. Go ahead.
For the Mexican and the Cuban. So how do you think that Republicans are preserving your rights where Democrats are not preserving your rights? Like, why did that turn into a Republican thing?
All right, each of you guys get 30 seconds to answer. Start with Gabriel this time. Go ahead. Caught a mid-drink.
Oh man, you kind of got me there. So a lot of my family are immigrants, right? And so they came right here the right way. Mm-hmm. So one of the things that they don't like is how the Democrats are pushing amnesty for illegal immigrants and this and that, and they don't like that they had to go through the process the right way. Yet everyone's jumping the border wall and getting free handouts left and right. So they want to see. I mean, we have to respect the laws that we have in this country, right? So,
wait.
How long did your parents have to wait to get over here?
So I believe my father was in the United States for about 25 years. So I was.
How long was his wait to get approved to get into the United States?
See, I don't know. I don't remember that. I didn't ask him.
Robert,
so I think I was about 13 when he finally got his citizenship.
Go ahead, Robert. Answer the first question there about rights.
I would say that Hispanics, if you look at their core values, are naturally conservative to begin with. They're Christian, they're very family-oriented, and they're hardworking, and they really do, most of them, when they come to America, are coming because they want the American dream and they believe in the ideals of our founding fathers. And when you look at the party that best aligns with that, that's the Republican Party. It's not the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party pushes things like, political correctness that controls people's speech, and a whole bunch of other things that aren't compatible with Hispanic values.
And I also ask.
See, just a second. So that's such a paradox, isn't it, that these people are already such hardworking people, and yet they're trying to get away from not wanting handouts? That doesn't make any sense. Either they're hardworking or they're just people who want to get handouts, unless the system is against them. And even though they're hardworking, they still need to have government aid.
I have a questioner who asked, Natalie, why does it matter how long they had to wait in line? Cutting in line is still cutting in line. It doesn't matter.
No, I was just curious, but I just, I mean, from what I have read and what I've been told, the people that get over here already have family here. They have some kind of a link that gets them into the
it's chain migration.
So so the other ones who don't get in, they don't have any link or they don't have any other way to get over here, but they're still kind of in desperate conditions, and so they
4 billion people in the world are in desperate conditions. We can't absorb them all. We do have to move on, but I mean, I'd love to keep going with this, but bottom line is that I think most people, even I have this test, man. Ask a 5-year-old in kindergarten, hey, is it fair to cut the line? They'll tell you no. And it's a very simple, it's a fairness question. And your parents are right, Gabriel. It's not fair that they had to wait, do everything the right way. It's not fair for those who don't live on our continent. In India, many of whom have master's degrees and are grand scientists who could really further our national interests. It's just not fair.
Well, the people in India, the ones that actually get to come over here, are already rich, and so that's why they get to come across the ocean to get here.
What does that have to do with it?
Exactly.
Well, it does. It has a lot to do with it, because you can understand why people are wanting to cross the border to get over here, because there's opportunity here, and they're leaving a place that's crap.
So is India. India's crap, and a lot of them aren't rich. Now, what's also not fair is that these blue states, like in cities like de Blasio, calls Trump a backstabbing hypocrite over resistance to local bailouts. An editorial say de Blasio's years of overspending makes New York City's coronavirus fiscal mess far worse. De Blasio unveils just a year ago, if you look at this story here, January 9th, 2019, de Blasio had enough money to unveil a healthcare plan for undocumented and low-income New Yorkers. No problem with low-income New Yorkers, but they were going to spend over $100 million in that city alone, minimum, to cover people that weren't even supposed to be here in the first place. And New York Governor Cuomo rebukes Trump, says coronavirus doesn't pick Democrats or Republicans. But Trump is correct. Trump says, hey, we're not bailing out. It is unfair to prudent conservative states who do not spend a lot. It is unfair for them to have to bail out states that spend, and have unfunded liabilities to unions as a union payback, because unions go door to door for the Democrats, which that's all it is. It's a big old scheme of pay to play. We'll pay you lots of unfunded and promise you these pensions, which will be encoded in law if you vote for me. It is buying votes. And Trump is 100% correct here. He should not spend a solid dime to bail out any progressive agenda. The money sent to the states and the cities should be reimbursement for the cost of coronavirus only. What say you? Natalie, we'll give you the first word, and then we'll go to Robert and then Gabriel.
I agree with you on that. Where the money's allocated is where the money's allocated. I mean, if you're going to have to find a different source of money if you have problems with your city. So I actually agree with you on that.
Another headline there said, federal bailout for Illinois and other badly run states is like giving cash to a busted out gambler. Totally true. Totally true. I mean, would you agree that it's common for Democratic cities to spend way too much on social programs? In fact, more than what they have, and that they're using this as a convenient ploy to say, oh, well, we had the money. I swear we were going to have the money, but all of a sudden, this damn coronavirus.
I don't think that it's for social programs that the city's trying to use it for.
Really? De Blasio unveiled healthcare plan for undocumented low-income New Yorkers just a year ago. He had enough money to pay. And in California, same thing. Yeah, undocumented immigrants all get free health care. Now I have no problem.
We're not even taking care of citizens. We're taking care of undocumented immigrants.
Right.
Okay, they get health care, meaning that they show up at the hospital and they can't pay their bill when they get to the hospital. What are we supposed to do?
We should stabilize them. Yes. In fact, Atlanta started doing that because Grady Hospital had gotten overrun with undocumented immigrants going to the hospital for dialysis. And it sounds sad and it sounds wrong, but they stabilized them and started taking them to their home country with an agreement that their home country will perform the dialysis on them. It's if I have a bunch of poor kids in the neighborhood, I feel bad for every one of them. Sometimes I even give them, some bag lunches and stuff, but I couldn't absorb letting them all move into my house so I could take care of them. It would be
At some point,
impractical.
you have to prioritize.
You do. I mean, Americans still have to pay their bills, plus the taxes that are going to pay those bills. And eventually you run out of other people's money to spend. That's what Margaret Thatcher said. That's the problem with socialism. Robert, what say you on this?
I honestly think that states like this that have extravagant spending should be held accountable for their own debts.
Yeah.
And especially since they're I did an article on Gavin Newsom cutting $500 checks to illegal immigrants in his state just this past week.
Yeah.
And if they have the $100 million to start a program like this, and he's taking $75 million from the California's Disaster Relief Fund to basically run his checks to illegal immigrants, then they have the money to pay their debts.
And they have the right. They do have the right to choose their own spending. I believe in state sovereignty, and now they're not supposed to go against the supremacy clause. Immigration was left up to the federal government, the enforcement of it, and who can be an immigrant. But if they choose to spend their own money that way, that's fine. But don't go to the taxpayers of Alabama, Mississippi, Ohio, or whomever and say, hey, you know what? COVID-19 happened, and I still had promised all these, illegal immigrants all this money. Can you help a brother out? If they voluntarily want to send a check to California, that's fine, but don't do it through the guise of the IRS. Do not rip off the people. Jasper Williams says it's not the federal government's responsibility to support the budget of an individual state that has sovereign choice over their own spending. To invite the feds to bail you out is an invitation for the federal government to direct your state policy. And you see that with road funds. The reason why even a state that says, hey, no, I think soldiers should be able to drink at 18, which I, by the way, agree with if they can fight, and they should be able to vape too, which is stupid. I'm against Trump on that. But the reason why that they can force that amongst the states is because they take federal health care money or federal road money and all these different things. And that's how they do it, through the power of the purse. Sad news. Not sad news, bad news. For all you people that are hunkering down, and you guys are going to go after Trump because the numbers are going to start spiking. Trump has even said it, came out and even said, hey, yes, the numbers when we open up are going to start spiking, but it's okay. We need it to. If you think that you're just going to hunker down and wait for a vaccine, you may be gambling poorly. Why? Because there's new mutation indicates that coronavirus might be weakening. Oh, no, this is good news. The coronavirus might be weakening, study says. A mutation in the novel coronavirus mirrors a change that occurs in the genetically similar SARS virus in 2003, indicating that the bug, it's not a bug, it's not alive, it's a virus. Viruses are not living. Might be weakening. That's good news. The bad news is right here. Let me see here. The bad news is that we may not have a vaccine ever. What it says, mutant strain of coronavirus that makes it more infectious has dominated the U.S. and Europe, and vaccine in development may not work against it. Why? Because the coronavirus is just like the cold virus. In fact, one of the cold viruses, of the many viruses that cause the common cold, is coronavirus. And there's a reason why we can't get a vaccine for it, because it mutates too quickly. Right. So, Los Alamos National Laboratory scientists in New Mexico have been tracking the evolution of the coronavirus and its mutations. A significant mutation emerged in March in Europe and quickly became dominant there. Now it's the dominant strain there, and in much of the U.S. and other countries, the mutation seems to make the spike protein. That's how they go against it. Just like on the flu virus, they vaccinate against the spike, and that's what makes it thing. On the virus's surface, it's more able to attack human cells and more resistant to our antibody response. This is all bad news. This might mean that we might have to let the body beat it. I mean, do we have a real vaccine for the flu? Not really. Every year we have to come out with 4 guesses on what strain's going to do, and I have a feeling this is going to be the same thing. Anybody?
Going down. Cases are down to I think yesterday was 23,000.
It's going to spike again, though. We're letting up on the country.
It's inevitable. I mean, if we're opening up the country, it's math. It's going to spike.
Right. Right now in the United States, they just released the numbers for all day today, and we were actually up a little bit, I think. Daily cases weren't up that bad. They were 25,619. But our deaths jumped from 1,324 to 2,350 today. So that's a bad day for deaths. And that happens a lot after the weekend, we've noticed. But if you know, it's all going to be about messaging here. First of all, the media is going to beat up Trump no matter what happens. So Trump is going to open the economy because guess what? If you want socialism, let's just say further down the line, the country decides, hey, I'm going with Bernie or AOC as president, God forbid. You're going to need tax coffers for that. And if we don't ever open up this economy, we're not going to have tax dollars, period. So Trump is going to open up the tax base, get this economy moving, and the virus is going to spike, and the media is going to hang it around his neck trying to get him to lose this election to Biden. What do you think?
Well, I don't think that Trump should open it back up. I think that Trump should leave it alone because he's not the one who closed it down.
Well, he's advising the opening. We're talking about Republican states, but they're going to, even if he came out and he even said, hey, Georgia, you're kind of going too fast, they're still going to hang it around his neck. The media hates Trump.
Yeah, well, I think that, you know, in Indiana, I have a Republican governor, and I think that he's doing a really good job. You know, right now we're in phase 2. We have a 5-phase. So this is phase 2 where they're kind of like halfway, you know, like shops can have, you know, 50% capacity, and then restaurants can, and, you know, and so we're in phase 2 right now. And then phase 3 is next week. And, you know, and he's kind of gauging the cases according to, you know, where we are and which phase we're in, you know, and he plans on slowing us down if we spike. And
okay, but when it does spike, are you going to blame him?
What?
When it does spike, are you going to be not so nice to your governor? Because it's going to spike.
I agree with his way of doing it. So why in the world would I blame him?
Go ahead, Gabriel.
No, what I was going to say is, I mean, it's going to spike regardless. So if you open up, even if you're doing phasing, it's going to spike. So what happens if it spikes? Are we supposed to slow down and hunker down again? I mean, we're going to go back to square one. I mean, I agree with what we talked about yesterday. I think we should just rip the Band-Aid off, but I'm not saying we shouldn't take any precautions, but we need to be cautious about how we open it up.
Totally agree.
Maybe not so much in just rip the Band-Aid off.
Imagine what he's going to do is he's going to keep us in that phase for a while until it kind of slows down.
But eventually,
we don't know how long it's going to be.
Right. We already know it's gonna spike back up. I think it's all gonna be about messaging.
Get your knickers out of a bunch and grab another drink. You are listening to Nightcaps with Nate.
So now the media is coming out and they are saying that this is how you beat it, and they're blaming. Okay, they're saying the graphic produced by leading U.S. scientists and MIT lays bare how countries which crushed the curve were the mark. We're quick to isolate infected patients, impose strong lockdowns, blah, 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 blah. The problem is that they may have crushed their curve. First of all, there's two things. If you notice the US, the UK, and Sweden went all out for herd immunity. Now notice they're at the top there, right? 3,400 cases, 2,600 cases per million, and 2,100 cases per million. However, all of those countries in the north where it's cool. Where is the majority of our cases? The majority of our cases, New York, New Jersey, Michigan, all the northern states, all Democrat states, but I like to tie that around their head. But they're all northern states. And respiratory illness loves cold weather. And if you look on this chart, the bottom that did crush it, 3 cases per million, Vietnam, Australia, 265 cases per million. By the way, while we were having winter, what were they having? Summer, right? They're opposite of what we are. Thailand, 42 cases. Greece, all hot, all humid type conditions. So just because they crushed the curve now, did they really crush the curve permanently, or have they just flattened the curve enough to where they're going to see it later anyways? And countries like the USA, UK, and Sweden, yeah, we have an initial high case rate, but eventually we're going to get herd immunity and we'll be done with it, hopefully. What do you think, Robert? You're our most analytical person on here.
I think I have concerns about how they're calculating the numbers. And I've heard a number of people in the medical community saying that if, let's say, you have a primary infection like the flu, bronchitis, something like that, and you end up getting a secondary infection with COVID-19, then the way they're calculating the death toll for COVID-19 is if you had COVID-19 at all, whether it was a primary or secondary infection, it's still added to the death toll.
Yes.
So I think,
totally agree.
as we know right now, you have a lot of people who have immune systems compromised that get COVID-19 as a secondary infection. But I think as we open up and the rate spikes, I think part of the reason it's going to spike is because there's inaccurate reporting of the numbers.
All right, real quick shout out to James Key. James Key was a great friend of mine, a fellow chaplain recruiter. He is a chaplain in the United States Army. He is African American. He was this guy, when he speaks, he sounds just like Denzel Washington. Talks like him, same mannerisms, everything, man. The guy was a great guy. He's a good Democrat, but we used to have good, healthy debates. He never took it personal. I never took it personal. You're doing great things there, Chaplain Key. Very proud that you're still serving the United States Army. Amber says people are over it, and I see more and more people out every day. Agreed. People are tired of being hunkered down. The young people, we're going to have to go out there and get it and just let it go through our system. Jasper says, I believe Trump has actually gained support. Yes, Gallup has shown that he has actually gained support. Other polls, which I do not trust, have him down in support. But those are called suppression polls. Polling is never accurate until the last week, and magically, the race always tightens up, because that's when they're actually getting judged. Nobody's going to look back in May of 2020 and say, oh, look how bad Reuters poll did, or, this poll. No, because they know they can get away with it. Right now they're trying to beat down the Republican enthusiasm because it's so much higher. And James Key says, bless me, and I'm sure he's saying bless you all too, by the way. You would like him, Natalie. He is a progressive chaplain. Good morals, though. So, bottom line, oh, by the way, Trump has, and I don't think that this is smart, Trump has confirmed that he's winding down the virus task force despite 70,000 U.S. deaths. Okay, 70,000 sounds like a lot, but it's 330 million people in this country, so it's not that many. Even if we get to 200,000 deaths, yes, the media is going to make a big deal about it. Yes, it's a lot of deaths. Yes, it is much more deadlier than the flu and much more infectious, but guess what? It is something that we're going to have to pull the Band-Aid off and just do it. Okay, so him winding down the task force, probably not a great idea, but that's Trump being Trump. He's very quick to do everything. I think he's really wanting to ramp this economy up. Guess what? To my friend Chaplain Key and all my progressives, including my sister on here, Natalie, love you guys to death, but if you want your socialist agenda to pass, we're going to need tax dollars, and we cannot borrow any more money. We are $26 trillion in debt now.
The rich pay their fair share.
The rich, you can soak the rich for 100%, and you will not have enough money. You just won't.
Okay.
I don't think it has enough money to support Social Security for 3 years.
I'm sorry?
I think it's only enough money to support Social Security for like 3 years.
Okay.
Even if you soak the rich. And what do the rich do?
That's at 100%.
They move.
I think that we have a system where we've set it up to where like during the Eisenhower years, we tax the rich. Like if they made over like some odd $1 million, then we tax them 90%. And you can look at the tax rates. I know that sounds ridiculous. It sounded ridiculous to me until
we were in a war though when that happened.
We did it for 25 years.
Right, as a result of paying off the war, because we went so deep in debt for the world wars. In fact, there was not even a federal income tax until wars. Federal income tax was an unheard of thing.
We were booming. So I don't know, but I do know that that right now it's pretty weird that we have people on food stamps, poor people, single moms, and people on food stamps.
You just said it. Once you say single mom, you lose me. That is a choice.
Fine. Not a single mom. Okay, fine. How about how we grew up, Nathan?
Okay, we grew up poor.
People on food stamps, and then we in the same country as billionaires. That means that the money is not being dispersed, even close to evenly. So if capitalism is supposed to work and trickle down economics is supposed to work, then why is this happening?
Let's just say that it does work. And the fact is that people are billionaires in this country because they found a good idea. 8 out of 10, I've read the statistics, 80% of all millionaires claim bankruptcy at least once. You know why? Because they tried, they failed, they tried, they failed. In fact, if you have a big dream, you want to know the quickest way to get it squashed, talk to a small-minded person because they'll try to talk you out of it every time. Nobody wants to see you excel. And when you do excel, you know what they want to do? They want to tax the hell out of you so that they can get your money. They think it's unfair. What do you think, Gabriel?
Just a second, Gabriel.
Go for it. Go.
No, they figured out
sibling rivalry. Go for it.
They figured out a way to tap a way for revenue to come through. They got lucky. I work extremely hard. You work extremely hard, Nathan. Neither of us are millionaires.
Not for the lack of trying, but I mean, if I did become a millionaire, I don't want.
Because we didn't get lucky yet. We didn't figure out that perfect way to tap the system.
James says, "Let your sister speak, Nate." Sorry, Chaplain. Key, I'm going to let him speak. Let her speak for a second.
Thank you, sir.
Dave Adams says, why did Trump leave New York, Nate? Because rich people leave high tax areas. It's a competition of the states. Smitty says, I give it 2 weeks with states opening back. We'll be back on lockdown again because people don't know how to listen to orders. Bold numbers, bold letters. Smitty, I usually agree with you on a lot of things, but I disagree with you there. People don't need to be nannied. People just need to be given freedom and let them make the choice. They don't need it. We don't need orders, Amber just said to Smitty. We don't need it, in my opinion. What we need is advice. Hey, old people, hunker down. Right. And all that stimulus money could have gone to people, and we could have said, hey, for the next 3 years until there's a vaccine, anybody age 60 and over, we're going to put you on Social Security a little bit early. And then all the young people, get back out and work.
People get back out and go to work, man. Open up the economy.
Right. And my Uncle Jeff says, you tell me, Amber, but that's her, I think, stepdad. Maybe it is her dad. But bottom line, here's how you get the $1 million, Natalie. If you want $1 million, nearly $1 million were dumped on roadside during a California police chase outside of Los Banos. Los Banos, we used to go through.
Oh, man, that's up there by the Bay Area, isn't it?
Yeah, we used to actually travel through there from Gilroy. If you wanted to get to I-5, you had to go through the something gap. I forgot what it was. But and then they have a big lake there. But nearly $1 million dumped on roadside, and cash was dumped on a Central California road during a police chase that ended with the arrest of 2 New York men who apparently planned to buy marijuana with the money. California Highway Patrol said Frank Capraro, 23, and Desmond McDay, 25, both of Medford, were arrested Friday evening. The Merced Sun-Star reported it wasn't immediately clear whether they had obtained lawyers. If they have that $1 million, maybe they can get a good lawyer, but that money's been seized, so I'm not sure they're going to do it.
Seized. Yep. I bet it was.
And so that sucks. Hopefully they can get some of it back and say, hey, I need to buy a lawyer. Then get a pretty good lawyer for that. But there's a K9 there. Everybody loves a K9. $915,000. That's how you do it.
You just get lucky.
You become a crooked cop and you pocket some of that. I'm just kidding, guys. Just kidding. Do not be a crooked cop. I think we have a crooked cop segment on here. By the way, if it's not on here, another idiot cop in New York violating the rights. Yeah, well, come on. Here's the deal. And this is where I agree with Chaplain Key. And, I used to not believe in all that stuff. But when it comes to African-American men, yes, some of them commit crimes, some of them don't. Some white people commit crimes, some don't. Hispanics, it doesn't matter. Everybody is innocent until proven guilty, and these cops that slap these people down. I didn't see any cops go to the Michigan rally where my brothers and sisters in arms who were mostly white, who were there with loaded weapons, get slapped around. Why is it that black people have to get slapped around? Why can't cops just, some people are going to be belligerent. Tase them, put them down, put them in cuffs. They don't need the lectures. They don't need to be slapped in the face like the cop did yesterday. Just getting tired of seeing all that stuff.
Yeah.
I'm tired of it. And I'll be the first white guy to say, hey, yes, a black guy gets pulled over, he's getting treated different than a white guy. I know that, Gabriel, you're a cop, but in many cases, a black guy gets treated different than a white guy. I've been with... Go ahead.
You got to be very careful with that.
You don't think so?
No, I think it's the situation that they're in.
James says...
context is important. You got to remember that. Context is important.
Gabriel, do you treat people differently, like based on which neighborhood they're in?
I treat everyone the same way. I treat everyone with respect. How they respond to me in kind, that changes differently.
Well, I was watching this TED Talk a while ago about this. She was an anthropologist, and she would go to poor neighborhoods, and she said that the police were constantly circling the poor neighborhoods.
Well, they should.
Like they couldn't win. And they just grew up in almost like this police culture where the police were constantly there.
Well,
so our police station is in a primarily impoverished neighborhood. It's primarily African American, and so our station is very diverse. So we have whites, blacks, Hispanics. And they divvy up what beats you patrol. So you could have a white police officer patrolling a black neighborhood. You could have a black police officer patrolling a black neighborhood. I mean, it just depends. But it doesn't matter where they put me at. Any person I pull over, I'm going to treat them with respect.
But whether it's black whether
It
it's
doesn't matter
white,
what color they are.
whether
It
it's
doesn't matter if they're rich,
Hispanic.
it doesn't matter if they're
No,
poor.
I'm
It doesn't
with
matter.
you, Gabriel. I don't think that I'm not trying to make a case against police officers individually, but do you think that like the police like station, is there any way that you guys like just know which neighborhoods are bad and they're usually poorer ones, or
Well, yeah, they have crime stat and all these computer
every-
programs, and
Every
they have
neighborhood has their problem.
and they have
Even the
sensors.
rich neighborhoods have their problem.
They have sensors that go off with all the gunshots, and they can actually tell a gunshot. And so they map all the crime areas, and then of course they infuse resources, police officers and cameras and stuff in the crime areas. Poverty and crime kind of go hand in hand. So if they're putting all the resources into that area and it happens to be black, Hispanic, or Puerto Rican or whatever, yes, they're going to have more cops. And yes, it can have a detrimental effect because it does become a us versus them. And that's where community policing was supposed to come in. But
the community. That's what
there is implicit,
right.
there is implicit and explicit preconceived opinions when cops come. I met one of the most racist persons I ever met against black people was a black cop in Indiana. My wife could tell you about it. We met him in South Bend. He was an Indiana state trooper. He was black, and he was outwardly racist towards black people. I'm like, man, that's bad. You know.
Do you think that black people do you think
It ain't just blacks; it's Hispanics, and in the parts of Boston, whites.
In particular, so a lot of times you see more crime, where there's poverty, and that's because when you're poor. It's easier to steal. It's easier to break into things because when you're poor, and you're just trying.
Yeah, I did it as a kid.
So we know that there's a correlation between poverty and crime, and so. But do you think that the reason why a lot of these neighborhoods are filled with black people? Do you think that anything about redlining, throughout history, where we separated the black people from the white people, we wouldn't give mortgages to black people?
Yes, there are some things, and we're not going to go. That's a rabbit hole we do not have time to go down tonight.
What about crack cocaine being introduced to them?
Again, another rabbit hole we can't go down tonight.
I could be on that all night.
Yes.
All right. I was just wondering if maybe there were systemic reasons for the reason why.
There is.
So the reason you're talking about the crack cocaine deal, that was the Congressional Black Caucus in the 80s that lobbied. Those are inner city senators that lobbied for harsher penalties on crack cocaine because it is highly more distributable than cocaine. Okay,
Right.
and that's why they lobbied for it. It was the Congressional Black Caucus that lobbied.
We will have a special Saturday segment, and we will even invite maybe Chaplain Key on here to discuss it. He does obviously agree with you. I agree with you a little bit. I'm a very moderate on racial relations. I do believe some of it happens to do with the hip hop culture, or is it the chicken and the egg thing? Does the hip hop culture just reflect what they grew up in versus does it cause criminality? We could go through all that. I believe that there's a big thing about single parenthood as well. But we got to move on to other topics because that would be a special session. So 1/3 of Americans, though, say they won't get vaccinated against the coronavirus. New survey finds, despite warnings that COVID-19 will likely be with us for years. Raise your hand if you will get a vaccine. Will you get the vaccine? I will. Robert, no?
I might. I'd have to do more research on the vaccine before I was willing to put it in my body.
Yeah. Oh, going back to the last topic, I forgot. Chaplain Key actually worked on the Hill for one of my least favorite congresswomen, if I remember, Maxine Waters. So yeah, we will have a special segment on that last topic. Kathleen said also the removal of the black father in the home and deconstruction of two-parent black family. I agree,
Absolutely.
Kathleen.
Yep, I agree with that too.
Has to deal with the Democrat Party, in my opinion.
Okay, well,
Hold on, Democrat Party
the
addicting people to welfare so that they get votes, perpetually get votes.
Well, we made it to where it made more sense for them to divorce and to split up, and for parents to be separated.
And Jasper will be on it too.
And we made it to where it made sense for them to do it because they were struggling so hard, and so that is part of the reason why there are so many split up homes in the black community.
No cost divorce is the worst. No fault divorce is one of the worst things we ever did. Not because the government should be in marriage, but because the government should be enforcing contracts. Contracts are constitutionally protected and enforced, and we should enforce them. If you bring together and you make a child, whether you stay together or not, then we need what Michigan did, and this is where Michigan did go right, and have very strong child support laws. Going back to the vaccine, I know this is like the topic we can't get off, the racial thing. We will seriously have a Saturday discussion on this in the next few weeks on race in America. But what 1/3 of Americans. Who do you think is most likely not to get the vaccine?
The anti-vaxxers.
And do you think that they're Democrats or Republicans?
That's a good question.
Oh, Nathan.
You might be surprised, Natalie. In a new survey, 30.7% of U.S. adults said they had no plans to get vaccinated. That's 1/3, and my wife just raised her hand.
What's the age demographic on that?
Here we go. Americans between 18 and 24 were the least likely to get vaccinated, with only 58% saying they'd get the jab. Men were more likely than women to say they would get the shot, and Democrats were more likely than Republicans to get the shot. Very surprised because a lot of the hippies are anti-vaxxers, and I thought that
I figured the younger crowd wouldn't get it.
nearly 50% of participants they said they would respect the choice of people who chose not to be inoculated. Here's the problem with that, though. If this thing is as bad as the government is saying it is, and I always distrust the government. I'm a conservative libertarian. I think government is a bad thing in many cases. But if we're going to get herd immunity, then we need 70, 80% of people to agree to take this shot and get inoculated. Just like the flu and everything else. But the flu virus has been a poor example of inoculation because Willie says she'll get it after a year or two because she wants to make sure, like when you get a brand new computer or they just come out with a new and novel phone or something, iPhone 2 was better than one. Yeah. I think that'd be important. All right, but Natalie, you're going to hate this. Chaplain Key, you should love this. My Uncle Jeff, who is a born-again Christian, should love this as well. Researchers are studying the power of prayer in coronavirus patients. Yes, prayer. Can you pray the coronavirus away? A new scientific study is examining the power of prayer in those fighting for their lives from COVID, testing for true supernatural intervention, according to a report. The Kansas City Heart Rhythm Institute is testing 1,000 patients in ICU with a contagion, with half getting a, quote, universal prayer, unquote, offered in 5 denominational forms. The 4-month study will then compare death rates as well as time in ICU and on ventilators. We all believe in science, and many of us also believe in faith. The study's lead investigator, cardiologist Dr. Donna Junyaya Lakareddy told NPR, if there is a supernatural power, which a lot of us believe, would that power of prayer and divine intervention change the outcome in a concerted fashion? That was our question. He did stress it has to be a true supernatural intervention. Natalie, my misguided atheist sister, what do you think?
Why in the world would God care about all of those people in America with coronavirus and not care about the poor dying children in South America and Africa? In India. I mean, why would he? Come on.
There was a great pastor named Rick Warren, Purpose Driven Church, who said, you know what? Try to explain the internet to the ant. It's still true that there's an internet. The ant just can't comprehend it.
Okay. Look, I think that prayer can do good, but I don't like to try to make it into something that it's not. What it is it's positive thinking. We know that positive thinking, makes people more effective when they're working.
Why? Do you think that has the universe is a play here? Not exactly just God, the Father, Son, Holy Spirit, and all that.
People are woo about it.
Do you believe in meditation and the universe, the power of law of attraction?
What?
Do you believe in the law of attraction? You are what you think and all that stuff?
To an extent.
That there's certain megahertz that interact with the spiritual world or the cosmos?
I don't believe in a spiritual world, so no.
James Key says prayer is always important. Prayer, science, and economics must work together today, now more than ever. Good call, Chaplain.
Who's doing that research?
The Kansas City Heart Rhythm Institute. Robert, what do you think about this study? You think it's a waste of money, or should they proceed?
I do think they should proceed because I believe that people who believe in a higher power or people who have hope of any kind have a better chance of surviving a severe illness than people who don't. And even if you don't believe in the supernatural, the fact that these people hope and have the hope in something higher than themselves, that might carry them through the illness.
Could.
Just that alone.
Yeah, it could be that missing link.
I agree with that.
You know who needs...
I don't know about spending money on studying it.
You know who needs powerful thoughts and prayers? Warning, this next video is graphic. It is this poor mouse versus that new murder hornet. The murder hornet.
I don't want to see it.
All right, turn your eyes.
Get up and walk
I'm giving you guys 1 second. Don't just plug your ears. Oh, it's no sound anyways. But this little hornet, this is the power of this thing that was brought to us by, you guessed it, Asia.
Asia.
Look at that thing. They said 3 or 4 stings of that thing will kill you as a human. Man, that's crazy. This thing is so vicious, it goes after the honeybees, the Africanized honeybees. You know, the killer bees that we all worried about?
Yeah, it's wiping them out.
No match. All right, for the sake of everybody's Cinco de Mayo stomachs full of liquor and everything else, I'm going to turn it off. But that is a powerful, powerful little thing. I'm more scared of that than the COVID. I'm just telling you right now. That will make me stay indoors and hunker down.
Hey, how much toilet paper do we have to buy for that thing?
I would buy enough toilet paper to where I'd wait till winter when it's no longer around. I mean, my God, that's a... All right, speaking truth to power. Speaking truth to power. And democracy dies in the dark. Do you guys remember those slogans? Those are from the New York Times and the Washington Post when they talked about, the war on the press by President Trump. Guess what? This is from the editor to the editor from Guy Benson in regard to the New York Times and Washington Post having the audacity to run one little story about Tara Reade. He says, I totally disagree. By the way, this guy went on to start Politico and The Hill. I reference those newspapers a lot. He says, I don't want an investigation. I want a coronation of Joe Biden, not an investigation. Would he make a great president? Unlikely. Would he make a good president? Good enough. Would he make a better president than the present occupant? Absolutely. I don't want justice, whatever that may be. I want to win the removal of Donald Trump office. Suppose an investigation reveals damaging information concerning his relationship with Tara Reade or something else, and Mr. Biden loses the nomination to Senator Bernie Sanders or someone else with a minimal chance of defeating Mr. Trump. Should we really risk the possibility? Look. That right there, if you don't believe the media is biased, that's biased. Amber said, who is playing Jumanji? That is so true. Oh, my Lord. Anybody who does not think, because we're going to start pushing through because we have a couple more topics and about 2 more minutes left, 3 more minutes left. Hey, poll finds this. This is very disturbing to me, Natalie, for all you snowflake liberals out there. That's just a joke that we say about you guys. Poll finds most college students want to ban threatening ideas. No joke. More than 3 in 4 college students want safe spaces on their campuses that are free of threatening actions, ideas, or conversations. Remember, universities were meant to be the marketplace of ideas.
Of ideas, right.
Right?
Unless it's going after the rights of other students.
Okay, no. Time out. Free speech is absolute free speech. Unless it is a threat like, hey, I'm going to bomb it.
It's unprotected speech.
Right.
Right.
Which is like yelling bomb on an airplane or fire in a movie theater. Right. Things that could cause harm. The KKK, as much as I abhor them, just like the Black Panthers, as much as I might not like them, each have an equal right to the university and the free exchange of their ideas. Period. Point blank.
Like if they're on a sidewalk with a sign or something like that, we have Christians at Western who do that. You know.
Okay.
But what about on the property though?
And so if that's whatever. But if they're teaching it in the classrooms and taking away time from actual valid curriculum,
that's not what they said. They're talking about safe spaces and trigger warnings for like when a conservative. First of all, a lot of times conservatives get shot down on the college campuses. So. While 97% of college students believe that free speech is an essential pillar of American democracy, then this poll conducted by Gallup and the Knight Foundation found that 78% of students support safe spaces where threatening ideas or conversations would be barred. That is a dangerous, dangerous thing that these snowflakes are growing up in. This is America.
They're trying to restrict ideas.
Yeah. And you know what? Some people actually have good ideas. There was a doctor that was pilloried and was laughed out, and because he said that the ulcer was caused by a bug and not just stress. That guy could have been laughed off the college campuses. Oh, you're ruining my safe space. Here's another one too. The Lincoln Project. These are supposedly conservatives. They're really a bunch of rhinos who are running ads against President Trump. If you look at the screen in their ad criticizes Trump, features footage of torn down Detroit building. By the way, guess what? That building is a product of Detroit and the Democrat Party having singular control of Detroit for 50, 60, 70 years. Detroit is a nasty, nasty place because of that. Whitley said they only agree to free speech if they agree with the free speech, and that is
Yep.
That is true.
Well, okay, like take for instance, okay, so like when I was a teenager, we came from a really Christian house. I was, Christian teenage kid, and so I was very vocal about how abortion is murder,
It
and
is.
look around and tell everybody that abortion is murder. Now that I am a progressive and I don't think that anymore, every time I hear somebody say that, all I can think about is there is a woman who is in a bad situation and she had an abortion. She has to hear
You're
that
cutting out.
everywhere she
Yeah,
goes. Everywhere there's people saying murder. Think about the child for her whole.
Hey, unfortunately, you're cutting out. I do know what you're saying, but guess what? We have 1 minute. I hear you, but guess what? Just like she has the right to her abortion, which I disagree with, because everybody has the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. If you've been snuffed out, that's gone. But the anti-abortion,
that child doesn't have a voice.
And the person on the public sidewalk has the right.
That a 2-week fetus, like 2 weeks along, and it still looks like a freaking bull.
They're not going to an abortion clinic and they're not catching heat. They're going to get Plan B. But hey, final topic. I'm sorry if I feel like I'm rushing this. Yes, I am, because we really got into the social justice thing, which I think was a very important topic and something that we are going to revisit, as well as free speech. And we will have you on, Natalie, on any of these, as well as Chaplain Key if he wants to be on, maybe Jasper, and anybody. We can get up to 4 people, and I'll just moderate the debate. I won't even get involved. Well, I can't help myself. I probably will, but.
Look at Chaplain to get on here.
Yeah, Chaplain Key is a smart guy. Yeah. So, hey, here's your outlook. By the way, if you trust any long-term outlook, it's looking like we're gonna have a cold spring. May for much of the Northeast is going to be below average temperatures. I know we're all dying to get out. If you're in Tejas, you're going to have above average temperatures. Oh, by the way, this is my first weather report ever to show on here. By the way, this comes from the Weather Channel. And if you're in the West, you're going to have high temperatures. So I'm going to leave you guys with that. Leave this screen on here just for one more second. Hey, thanks, Robert, from the, I'm not going to say it. Say your organization again.
Republican National Hispanic Assembly.
Hey, if you're Hispanic and Republican, please join that. It is very important to get the word out. Thank you, Gabriel, for not only your service to your community, but also being on the show. And Natalie, we love you, not just because you're my sister, but because you're my favorite liberal ever. Misguided for sure. Chaplain Keith, thanks for your insight tonight. It was very, very important insight. Kind of helped Natalie out. She said that you're now she's an atheist, but you're her favorite. You're moving to Mexico.
I really do want that chaplain to come on here.
Hey, make sure that you like and share, and that you go to Facebook or YouTube and subscribe to my channel. With that being said, we are out of here. See ya.
This has been Nightcaps with Nate. Please join Nate for a nightcap every weeknight at 9 Eastern here on Facebook Live.
Peace.